Welcome to Hearts of Gold, where Gold Award Girl Scouts share their experiences earning the Gold Award, the highest award a Girl Scout can earn. Hearts of Gold is presented by the Grow and Share Network in conjunction with Off the Walter Media Productions.
Welcome to Hearts of Gold. Today I have Rachel joining us from Florida. Hi, Rachel. Can you tell us about yourself?
Hi, my name is Rachel. I am currently a college student at Florida Atlantic University, and I was a former Girl Scout.
And you have earned the Girl Scout Gold Award. Can you tell us about your project?
So for my Gold Award project, I decided to do a sustainability project within my local area. I did an invasive species removal project that involved the removal of invasive species and mangrove planting at a local coastal area in my city.
And how did you identify this project?
Well, at the time of when I first started my Gold Award project, I was attending a school called Mass at FIU. And at this school, the focus was solely on STEM. So we learned a lot about our environment, a lot about technology. And through my classes, I sort of started to become interested in our environment and the issues that we were facing, especially here in Florida. As many people may know or may not know, we are below sea level. So a lot of times when as sea level rises, the city and the area will start to flood because of it. And I actually wanted to do something that could help or could possibly border us in the impact of sea level rise. And through my classes, I learned that mangroves actually are one of the best buffers for sea level rise, but a lot of people don't know, and they're not the best looking tree. They're not like the palm tree. So people don't normally, think that they should be planted in certain places. So I decided to contact the school, the college. Well, because my high school was at a college, I was able to partner with the actual college itself for help.
And so why do mangrove trees help the sea level issue?
It's literally, it's a buffer. They're a buffer. Like a lot of times when hurricanes hit, you always see people, or on the news, you see these people bringing in tons of sand. They're trying to buffer up the area before something hits because they know it's going to literally push it all away. It's going to be gone. So what mangroves literally do is become a permanent buffer zone that protects the actual area. And just like a regular tree, when you have something rooted, the actual ground becomes more solid, and we actually need that along our border. They were actually there before, but they were taken away for, tourist reasons. The beach people like to be there, so they took them away. So they're a buffer. I don't know how else to explain it. They actually protect the area.
Okay, and then you also did some invasive species removal. And so why was that important to your project?
Okay, so with invasive species, I first want to identify what an invasive species is. It is a plant or a species of an animal that is not native to a particular area, meaning that the competition is 0 to none. So they can basically grow as much as they want and as fast as they want without much interference. Like in the Everglades, we have the huge issue with the pythons. They're an invasive species, therefore they don't have a lot of competition, so they grow as fast as they want. So in Florida, it's a very warm, climate here. We are subtropical, so a lot of things like to come here, and when they do, it's very easy for them to stay. And we have a lot of them. I wanted to actually remove some of the species, the invasive species, to make room for the actual native species, because they're taking up physical room for them to actually grow and survive. And with the mangroves, they are they're not super competitive. They're a very weak tree in terms of competition. So the shoreline is really where they grow and where they strive. So when the area is taken up by an invasive species, there's a huge issue because they barely, are able to fight off their native, enemies, and now they're dealing with something that's invasive. So I wanted to physically pull out anything that was in their way. And I did this at the FIU Biscayne Bay campus. It is the North Campus at FIU. It's a little bit smaller than the South Campus, but they have like a beach area there, and I wanted to move them so I could plant mangroves there. And it was very successful. It's a lot of work too, because you're physically removing like a baby tree, that's a lot of effort, and it was awesome. I was able to get some friends, some family to actually help me do it all. And we were able to remove a lot. And we created a lot of space for native species to now be grown in that particular area. I would love to do more, but getting people to actually, I don't want to say people, but the actual people who are in charge of a particular area to do that is sort of difficult, because they're like, you're removing something that is eye-catching to some people. So, it can be difficult, but FIU were very helpful, and they wanted me, so it was awesome.
And how did you identify that school in order to work with? Because I understand it's not real close to where you were living.
No, not at all.
Right, and as you said, sometimes it's hard to identify partners. So how did that partnership come about?
At the time, like I said before, I was at Mass at FIU, and it was a school that was in partnership with the FIU college. So my school was physically on the FIU campus. We walked around, we saw the college students, we got college benefits. It was pretty cool. And at the time when I asked my teacher, or when I expressed my interest to my teacher that I wanted to do this project, she actually guided me towards one of the directors for the environmental program at that particular campus. His name was Nicholas Ogle. I love Nick, he's awesome. And he sort of became my go-to guy for anything I needed for my project. Whenever I needed supplies, volunteers, locations, he was able to get it all for me. So I was able to contact him through one of my teachers at school.
And my understanding is you grew the mangroves from seedlings. Is that correct?
Oh, yes.
So how is that process? How did you get the seedlings, and what did you have to do, and when were they able to be planted?
So that process to actually grow them took a year, but the entire process altogether, I want to say, took about a year and a half. And luckily, because of the location, they actually have a lot of mangroves already planted there. And it's really interesting that mangroves, the seeds just sort of plop down. So they just float until they find somewhere to root. So when it was time for me to actually find mangroves, they were there, basically just literally floating around in the water for me to grab. And I was able to grab as many as I wanted. I probably grabbed over 300, 400 of them in one batch one time. And it was pretty awesome. But once I gathered them, I decided to grow them in the greenhouse. So when it was time to plant them, they were already started out, it was easy for them to acclimate to the actual environment. Every week, once a week, I would go to the FIU campus and make sure that they were doing all right. I would water them if necessary. If there was any bugs, I'd plop them off. And that process was challenging. I'm not going to say it was difficult or that it wasn't something that I didn't want to do, because it was, every time I went there was something new that I got to see. Some days it was raining, so I got rained on, and I had to run back. The greenhouse is actually a little bit further away from the main building, so I would have to run like a mile from the greenhouse all the way back if it was raining. If I left something in the storage room, I would have to run all the way back. So it was a process, but it taught me a lot. You have to have patience when you're doing something, and you have to actually know why you're doing something to keep on at it, because it can get difficult at times, but it shouldn't stop you from, wanting to pursue what you're actually doing. So it was a challenge, and for an entire school year, and mind you, at the time I was going to a school that was pretty far. It was probably like an hour bus ride from my high school that I was currently attending back to the FIU campus, because I ended up leaving the school after my second year. So it was difficult, but I want to say, not difficult, I'm sorry, challenging. It was challenging, but I enjoyed it thoroughly, and I have memories that I can look back on whenever I need to, just for good.
So what was your favorite part of your project?
Probably had to be, this is a little weird, but when I got told no by the first place I wanted to actually plant my mangroves. And the reason why it's my favorite is because at the time, you know, when you're going through something, you don't really see the joy or the funniness of the situation. And for about 4 months, I had been trying to contact this place asking, hey, would you guys allow me to plant something here, you know, for my Girl Scout project? And I constantly kept hearing, oh, we're falling under new management, you know, it's going to take a while, you know, I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll wait. And then finally, you know, 4 months after, it's basically like a no, like, no, you can't do it here. And I was like, wow, are you serious? Like 4 months that I spent my time trying to contact you guys to do something and just to get a no. But luckily, I was able to find another place, which was way cooler in my opinion, Pelican Bay Harbor, which is a cool place. It's really awesome. But it was funny because as a high schooler, but also as a teenager at the time, that was really the first time I had been told no for something that I had been pushing for, you know, something that I really wanted. And it was like a slap in the face, honestly. It was like a slap in the face to a high schooler, but it sort of taught me that, you know, even if there's a no, there's always going to be a yes eventually. Somebody's going to tell you yes, and don't let, you know, one person's no affect your entire situation, you know, because what if I had let that person's no get in the way of me finishing my gold award? I wouldn't be able to be where I am now, even having this interview. So I would say that was the funniest and my best moment, favorite moment of my entire project. I have others, but that's like, you know, it takes the cake.
As you look back on your project, if there was one thing that you could change, what would you change and why?
So if there was one thing I could change, it would actually be me getting in the way of myself. A lot of times when I first started my project, it wasn't me wanting to do it. It was everybody else pushing me to. My Girl Scout, my troop leader, my mom, troop moms, everybody's pushing me to do it. I don't want to do it. To be honest with you, I don't think I've ever told anybody else this. It took me about, I want to say 5 months to get my proposal in. And the reason why it took so long was not because I didn't have it done or majority done. It was just because I was holding myself back. All of the insecurities I had, can I pull this off? Are they going to accept it? You know, because once you finish your proposal, it has to go to council so they can evaluate and see if this is something that you can actually do and if there's any mistakes that they need to correct you on. But I saw this sort of as like the end all be all, like they were going to judge me to the point that I was like, I can't do this at all. Mm-hmm. And instead of even letting myself get to that point, I stopped myself beforehand, which is crazy. Now that, you know, I look back, and it taught me a lot that, you know, you have to just get out of your way and do what you have to do to get done, because, you know, mm-hmm. you are your biggest critic, and the more you weigh down on yourself, the more you're getting in your way, which isn't good. So
I agree. I personally think the proposal is the hardest part of the Gold Award project. I believe that going through that process and identifying what you're so passionate about and making that into a project is the most important step and the hardest step. And then of course the nervousness associated with going for your proposal interview. Mm-hmm. But if you can get through that step, that I truly believe that is the hardest part of the project.
Yeah,
so
and then, like, on top of that, a lot of times you feel as though you feel as though somebody doesn't want you to succeed. But in actuality, most of the ladies who were on the committee for the proposal, I knew them personally. And I knew they wanted nothing more for me to just finish my gold award, for me to actually do it. But, you know, in your head, you're so stuck on the what ifs and law that you don't get it done, and you feel as though everybody is your enemy when nobody is really your enemy. They want to see you succeed. Everybody on that council wants to see you succeed and do it. So even if they're telling you there's an issue with your project, they're doing it for your best interest. They're trying to help you so you can do your project to the best of your potential. And it took me a while to see that, you know, but once you get over it, you're like, okay, I'm good now, you know? So because without the people on that council, I would not be here. You know, they have helped me out so much to get to where I am. So I do nothing but thank them for just pushing me and showing me that their criticism was not to hurt me, it was to help me.
And so what is your biggest takeaway from earning the Girl Scout Gold Award?
That I can do anything. I know sometimes that can seem a little childish, but that's the best way I can possibly put it, that I can do anything. Because I see now, you know, the older you get, the more your eye opens. I want to say like your third eye, not these guys, this guy right here. You're able to see things for what they actually are. And I see adults now who are stuck, you know, in a certain phase of their life. They can't get over certain things. They're not pushing themselves to a higher level because of where they are mentally. I know now that I have done a lot, you know, I've done more than some adults have done in their life. And that's not to put anybody down, but that's just to show that you can do anything you want. Anything you put your mind to, you can do. In terms of college, if you don't want to go to college, if you have another plan, you can do it. You can do whatever you set out to do. And the Gold Award really taught me that. You know, there were times where I didn't know if I could do it. I didn't know if I was going to finish the project. I literally finished my project like, I think a month before it was due. So I was really late. I did it my senior year. I finished my senior year. So, you know, I was really late, and there was a possibility that if I didn't turn it in, it wasn't going to be complete, you know, because senior years are cut off. Mm-hmm. So, but it taught me a lot. It taught me so much. And now, you know, I apply it to everything I do. I'm currently working towards my real estate, to become a real estate agent. And I'm in a class full of adults, you know, and it can be intimidating because you're like, oh my gosh, I'm this 19-year-old in this class with like all of these adults. But, you know, you sort of push it aside, you know, because you're like, I've been through more than this. I know my potential. I know what I can do. And it taught me a lot.
So you mentioned that your mom and your troop leader, Janice, helped you during your project, amongst some other family members. Can you speak to how your mom and Janice have helped you through your entire Girl Scout journey?
Oh gosh, they've done so much, so much. And I promise you, I'm not, you know, not putting my mom or throwing her under the rug, but she can attest to this. She's one of the worst Girl Scout moms in the entire troop. I am not lying. My mom was that one parent who would be out there on their phone, and I would have to drag her out and be like, Mommy, you have to be at the meeting. You have to be here. But the older I got, you know, because I was in Girl Scouts since I was a junior, the older I got, once she started to actually saw the benefits that it actually brought out in me, she eventually was like, wow, this is something that I took for granted. And now I see what it has done for my mom. And she's actually more involved with Girl Scouts than I am now. She sits on the council. She's a volunteer for Girl Scouts. So she's really active now and while I'm in college. But she was always there. Whenever I needed something from her, whenever I finished the project, last minute, she was there rushing me to finish it or dropping me off somewhere. She really helped out. You know, she was an awesome mom. And, you know, throughout whatever experience she went through, she always made sure that I was taken care of whenever it came to something that I needed. And I will always appreciate her for that, even though I'm a little jealous because like now she's working with Girl Scouts and I'm not a Girl Scout anymore. So you're like, really? What about me? But it's whatever. But as for my troop leader, she was amazing. I could not have asked for a better troop leader. She was on top of us in each and every way. She made sure that even if we didn't understand why we were doing something, we were going to do it to the best of our ability because she knew what it was going to do for us. I remember there were times she had us fill in our applications and I was like, why does she have us doing this? This is something my mom should be doing. I'm not the parent here. But it taught me a lot, you know. A couple of her other former Girl Scouts that she was their troop leader for, two of her other Girl Scouts were actually Bill Gates scholars. She was sending scholarships out to me and my mom when I was in elementary school, you know, but at a time when my mom wasn't even thinking about that, she was always thinking 10 steps ahead of us for our benefit, you know? And looking back now, like sometimes I want to cry because I'm like, you've done so much for me. Like I can't even say it all. It's been so much. And as for the troop moms, they are a force. They are an army. Whenever my mom couldn't be there, they were there. You know, they always supported all of the girls. They always made sure that we knew that we are a family and that if you ever need anything, you can come to us. Even if it wasn't Girl Scout related, they were always there. So it was a very loving environment. And I will always be thankful and grateful for everything they've done for not only me, but for all the other girls too.
And I know that you have had the opportunity to attend 2 Girl Scout conventions. Do you want to share your experiences regarding the conventions as we look at Orlando in 2020?
Yes, I loved all of the conventions. I'll never forget the first convention I went to. It was like a break in the sessions, and they were giving out snacks. And I was like, oh man, this is awesome. And at the time, I think I was in middle school, and they were giving out I think it was the chocolate taco ice creams. And I was like, oh man, I love these. Like I was so obsessed with them. And I took 3 and I ate all 3. My troop leader wasn't around. I was with my friends and I was like, I'm going to eat all 3 of these. And they're so good. And I just remember while I was eating that, I was speaking to other girls and we were all just talking about our love for this ice cream. And, I was able to have a wonderful time and meet new people, that I wouldn't have had the chance to meet if I was, just back at home. I don't remember much of the sessions. I was really young for the first one. Not super young, but really young. But I just remember the environment. And I remember that environment it left me wanting for more, for the next convention. And so when the 2017 convention came up, I was ready. I was so pumped and psyched for it. And at that convention, I was actually, a little bit older. I understood a little bit more. And I had the opportunities to meet different troop leaders, which was actually more impactful than meeting the girls, because you could see the love in their eyes for what they were doing. There were some troop leaders there who, were all decked out, for their state and everything. And they were just so happy to be in an environment where girls just were able to be loved and, supported for whatever reason, whatever they were trying to do there, they were there to help them out. And that was awesome. I actually got to see the first African-American, I'm not astronomer, sorry, not astronomer. It's not an astronomer, but it's a astronaut. I don't know why I couldn't say that, I'm sorry. But the first African-American astronaut. And she spoke. I don't remember everything she said, but I remember the feeling she left me with. And I just remember leaving that convention feeling like I'm going to have to leave Girl Scouts soon. This sucks. I just remember that feeling, but it was an awesome experience. And if you have the chance to go. I'm actually going to go to the one that's coming up in Orlando. I don't care how old I am. I'm still going to go.
I've been to 4 and I am planning on going to Orlando also.
Oh yeah, have fun. Yeah. I'll see you there.
What other Girl Scout experiences have you had that you'd like to share with us?
One of my favorites was when we actually got to go to NASA and spend the night there. That was one of my best experiences. And at the time I really wanted to be an astronomer. So that was like, oh, holy grail of what an astronomer would like to go see. That was one of my favorite experiences. Camping, I'll never forget, which was when I first joined Girl Scouts around that time. I'm playing at Camp Choli, which is one of our campgrounds here in South Florida. And I don't know why, we were silly. We were playing with a large stick and she was poking people with the stick and I ended up getting hit by the eye. I almost got my eye poked out. Yeah, which was weird. I was okay though. Nothing bad happened. Just a little mark under my eye. But I just remember being totally fine and be like, okay, let's keep playing. It just having fun. And all of the times, like when I was going through my PA and my CIT training, which is your counselor in training and your program aide training, and just meeting all of the different girls. And even now, like a lot of the younger girls who I met at the camp, I would see them at some of the events that we would have, you know, on a regular Girl Scout season. And it was so cool. They remembered me, and my camp name was Snickerdoodle. And, you know, they would always, Snickerdoodle, Snickerdoodle. I was like, hey, you know, it was so nice to see that they actually remembered me and I actually made an impact in their life, which was awesome. So much so that I'm actually going to be a counselor at one of the camps. Yeah, at one of the camps down here in South Florida. I'm going to be at Little House. And this is my first time ever going to Little House, which is pretty cool. It's just that the memories, there's so many, like in, you know, whenever I see my friends and stuff, like the silly pictures we took all the times, you know, when I was a teenager, you wanted your phone and stuff, and, you know, you couldn't have it. And there was like one plug in our camping ground. So everybody was fighting for the one plug, you know, all the times we stayed up, you know, till 6 a.m. in the morning, and we know we had to be up in the morning at 7, you know. So it was an awesome experience. I loved it so much. And you start to appreciate it the older you get too, because you realize that a lot of those memories now, a lot of kids don't get to have anymore. You know, camping, just hanging out, you know, technology seems to be taking over to the point where kids don't even go outside the way they used to. So, you know, to have those memories with my friends, you know, is awesome, and I cherish them so much. So, like, the older I get, the more they just like I'm keeping these in a vault and nobody can ever touch them.
So are there other experiences, perhaps outside of Girl Scouts, that you'd like to share with us?
Oh yeah, actually, Miss Lori, which is, she works at the Tropical Florida branch area, I wanna say. She actually recommended me to do a United Way fellowship, which is pretty cool because it was the first time that it had ever happened. And, you know, for her to recommend me as the only Girl Scout to represent Girl Scouts was pretty awesome. And I got to do that. It was a 1-year program, and we went to Arizona. It was a free trip to Arizona, for a week during one of our school breaks. And I loved it so much. I was crying when it was time for us to come back home, because I had fell in love with, you know, where we were and everything we learned. It was awesome. Another thing I remember, Girl Scouts actually helped me prepare for this. It was a Arts for Learning program, which is an internship that you get paid for, not that much money, but it was more about the art than it was the money. And I was able to do something that I actually liked, you know, but, you know, trying to balance that, because at the time I was doing the program, I was also trying to finish my Gold Award at the same time. So it was difficult, but I was able to push through. And Girl Scouts was able to help me focus and feel like, just get through this, do what you love, just know that you're doing this for yourself, and that's okay. Just have at it, have fun. And I enjoyed it so much. I remember the Microsoft programs we did at the Microsoft stores in the mall. Those were awesome. So those are the main memories. The other ones are, you know, when I was younger. So
what do you think Girl Scouts has given you that you're still using today, or has helped you get to where you are today?
Patience and endurance. Those two are definitely key. In terms of patience, you know, Girl Scouts for me has been like a lifelong relationship. And, you know, within a relationship, you go through stages. In the beginning, when I was a kid, Girl Scouts fun, camping, la la la, yeah, sure. But as you get older, it becomes more serious. You know, the atmosphere of what the standards you're being held up to become a lot more, you feel it. And you get a little embarrassed too, because you're going through the stage where it's like, it's not cool anymore, but something that you like to do. So you're fighting this, you know, embarrassment, but you're still going to have at it. And then as I got older, my feelings for Girl Scouts were just pride. You know, I was so prideful in the organization that I had played part in, you know, and just all around everything it had taught me. So my patience for Girl Scouts really it's expanded throughout the years. And even just doing the little things, you know, when you're at a community service event, you don't want to be there. It's 5 a.m. in the morning. You have to be there till 2. That's patience. And just also endurance, because you have to keep the same energy. And in terms of the same energy, you have to always show that love and joy in your face. You have to show it, and not only in your face, but also just feel it. And it took me a while to master that. As a kid, it's pretty cool. There isn't much stress. Middle school, there's a little embarrassment, but you're trying. And then by the time I got older, it was trying to balance Girl Scouts with everything else. And, you go through your stages in life, but it taught me a lot. And the feelings of love really showed out. And I know a lot of people may not understand, but there's a love and pride in Girl Scouts. And it's not something you're going to understand until you fully embrace it, but once I was able to get to that stage, it was over. It was like, I'm a Girl Scout at heart, and there's nothing you can do to take it away from me. You can make fun of me, whatever you want. Ask me about the Girl Scout cookies. I don't care, because I know I have something that's been embedded in me that no one can ever take out, So I love that. I love that feeling. So patience and endurance.
And what is your favorite s'mores trick?
Okay, so I've been thinking hard about this. And I honestly have to say, it's a partnership. Having somebody hold your hold the cracker with the Hershey's chocolate in the top while you burn the marshmallow just a little, not too much, just enough. Unless you like a burnt marshmallow, I personally don't. You burn it just enough, blow it off really quickly and have them smush it in between. That is the best s'more ever.
Is there anything else that you want to share before we head out?
Yes. If any girls are out there trying to decide an idea, or you're going through the motions already, push through. I know it can be difficult. You feel as though you're about to take on a journey that you don't know. You don't know what you're getting yourself into, and that's fine. It's okay. That's what it's supposed to feel like, because that's exactly what life is. And the more you do it, the more pride you'll take in knowing that this is something that you did and that you strive for, you yourself did. And the feelings that come along with it afterwards are amazing. But not only the feelings, but also the actual certificate that you get after. I remember wanting to cry at my gold award because I had finally gotten something that not only I, but everybody else who helped me worked so hard for. So it's amazing. And I promise you, you will not regret it. You will be so happy you did something that was more than you. You'll be so happy. I can't even explain. It's something you're going to have to experience when you're at your gold award ceremony and you're getting that award, because you know you've earned it.
Well, thank you for joining me today. Make sure to click subscribe so you always know when new episodes are released. And don't forget to power your passion and conquer your challenges.
The Hearts of Gold program is brought to you by the Grow and Share Network in partnership with Off the Walter Media Productions. If you want to share your story of how you earned your gold award, send an email to growandsshare@outlook.com. All episodes of the Hearts of Gold program are available to view at youtube.com/Cheryl Robinson. That's youtube.com/SHERYL Cheryl Robinson. Thank you for listening. Take care, and we'll see you next time.